Hello, my name is Shelby Jenkins. My final project for the CS50 course is a tool I dreamed up many years ago when a plane went missing. My idea was to crowdsource people's analytical visual abilities to scan satellite images. At the end of the video, I'll show you some cool stuff we found. While it would be impossible for a single person to find a missing plane in the middle of the ocean, if millions of people spent just a few seconds looking at a few satellite images, every inch of the ocean could be searched rather quickly. So, my app is a proof of concept. It takes a random set of coordinates generated in Python using the random function, rounded to the 5th decimal place by the round function, and constrained to the Earth's coordinates by the uniform function. This is going to get a lot less complicated really quickly, but stick with me here. The application then checks if those coordinates are already in the SQL database. That means if someone's already been to these coordinates, they'll be in the SQL database already, so we don't need to look at them again. So if they're already in there, we're going to generate a new set of coordinates, and it's going to do this until a fresh set are found, and then it's going to insert those into the SQL database, and then finally render the template for the page. And when it does this, it requests a satellite image from Google Maps using the Google Maps static image API. The coords are inserted into the HTML image tag of the image, and Google returns an image of a view of those coordinates. Pretty simple, actually really simple. So if there's nothing interesting in the map, and most of the time there isn't interesting things in the map because the world is mostly water, the user has a button that can refresh the page. Of course, you can also just use the F5 or the refresh button in the browser. However, if the view is interesting, the user can log this location and add it to the list of interesting places. And all this does is takes the existing SQL entry for these coordinates and increments the vote field by 1. And I found some pretty cool places, so I ended up adding a link to open the current coordinates in the proper full Google Maps app so you can explore it. Surprise, surprise, I keep landing in Siberia because Russia is huge, and Africa because Africa is huge. It's pretty interesting how big those places are. So finally, we have a page that displays all of the interesting places that people have found, and on that page you can vote on those places. So the cool ones get to the top, hopefully. And it's a simple incrementation of the votes field in the SQL database. It has no guards, so it could be fully implemented if we had a full website. But there are limitations to this project, which is why I won't create a public website for it. The main is the matter of zoom. To be useful in searching for a downed airplane or any other interesting things on planet Earth requires a very high zoom. And in some Google Maps areas, you can zoom really low to the ground, I guess is how you say it. It's really high quality. You can see people walking around in the city and going about their daily lives. But for most of the world, specifically the oceans, the fidelity of the satellite image is not so high. When you try to load these areas with low quality satellite imagery and you're very zoomed in, the image doesn't exist on Google, so it just returns a blank image with an error message. And I was receiving this error message at a percent of time that reflected roughly the coverage of the Earth's oceans. So about 71% of the time I was getting that error message. And there's no way to request the highest level of zoom available in the static maps API documentation, so I don't think this feature exists. Therefore, I ended up having to return the most zoomed out level. And this works 95% of the time or so, but every now and then still returns blank spots, like the Indian Ocean has a bunch, obviously. So if there was a satellite image provider that allowed you to return only areas that had high zoom in, I think this would be a really neat website for geo explorers to play with, just to go around the Earth and zoom in, in a random spot and see what's going on there. I think that'd be really neat. But sadly, it doesn't exist yet. Maybe one day. Finally, the last limitation of this is that since I dreamed up this app for the purpose of finding an airplane or finding like a missing boat or a life raft, things have changed the world, and AI image recognition has gotten quite good, likely good enough to be trained to recognize a boat or an airplane on a set of satellite images. So this is largely not very relevant with today's AI. Finally, I'd like to show you some interesting places we found. All right, so I just discovered an uncharted island in the middle of the Pacifics, which is pretty cool because I was doing that live. Honestly, nothing I've found has been that cool. I was going to do a little bit of a troll thing where I had a stealth bomber here saved that I found on Reddit, and I was going to pretend to find it and freak out, but that's fake. I had to manually insert the coordinates into the SQL database for that, but that's fake. I actually legitimately did find this uncharted island in the middle of the Pacific, so that's cool. And not only that, but I was doing an earlier version of this video that didn't work, and I accidentally found a shipwreck too. I was loaded a random spot. I was showing the difference in quality in maps here, and I zoomed in on the island, and then boom, there's a little ship. That's either there's uncharted islands everywhere, or ship crashes everywhere, or I just got extraordinarily lucky. Anyways, it's a pretty cool app. Beautiful images of the planet, really pretty. Something that could be maybe an automated Chromecast desktop background or something to pull these images to someplace you could display them automatically would be really cool. Some of them need a little bit of work, like this patchwork of satellite images in Greenland. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different images patched together. Pretty interesting too. But that's my project. Thanks for watching. Yeah.